This one's about fact finding. I've got a series of videos now for you on modern fact finding. Now, fact finding, as we know, is a process which involves getting facts, really. So let's give this a nice little title there for you, fact finding. It's used by mortgage advisors, financial advisors. The FCA regulates it in effect, really. Training and Competence has it built into the concept. It can be really dull and boring just by collecting facts, or it can be really interesting and can help you. All the selling's done in the fact find. It can be a series of meetings. It can be 20 minutes here, 10 minutes here. When you're using video with clients, there's no reason why you have to let them endure the 2-hour meetings anymore. That's a thing of the past. Come on, get with it. So this particular part of the fact find would certainly follow after you've got the facts. And this one's particularly useful to help you cross-sell other products, particularly protection as well. It helps you build the need for other products, because you can't just flog stuff, you have to build the need. If they have the need, you then present the solution. That's pretty much how you sell. Now, I call this one the Lifeline. Now, you might have heard it called different things, but the Lifeline's a nice little title for this. And I want to give you a demonstration how the Lifeline works. Now, the Lifeline, if I can sort of squeeze it over here, is a concept. It's been around for quite a while now, but it works really well. It's based upon the premise of coaching. When you're fact finding with a client and you're finding out about their needs and wants and desires, we coach nowadays. We don't tell people what they need. I mean, it does sicken me when I see financial advisors telling people that they need life assurance. You know, 4 out of 5 people are going to die before the age of 70. They get a lovely poster from the life office. You can't tell people what to do. That's gone now. The rise of the small person Reddit didn't want to be told what to do by hedge fund managers. So you don't tell people what to do. They have to figure it out themselves, which is why we coach now. Now, I use a model called Cigar on my coaching. I don't know if you use something similar, probably. Cigar's quite smart, really, and it helps you to coach financial fact-finding financial needs. Basically, what it comes down to is the current situation. You've got to figure out what the current situation is the client has. Then you've got to take a look at the ideal situation the client should have. Then you take a look at the gap that is between what they've currently got and what they need. That's the gap. So then you sell that. Then you take action, and then you review. So that's pretty much Cigar. Now, the whole point here is we're working around here. We're trying to figure out what the ideal is. What's the ideal scenario, financial package for the client is what we're coming to. Again, you can tell them what to do, or you can get them to figure it out. You do this through the Lifeline. Let me draw the Lifeline for you. It's a piece of paper, if you want it to be. Let's make sure we can keep this on the screen. Okay, it's a piece of paper if you want it to be. Other than that, it's a graph. Now there's the graph for you. And what you do here is quite simple. You draw a picture. You can do it on a whiteboard if it's online using Zoom, or you can do it on a piece of paper, or whatever is right for you. A shared whiteboard on Zoom works really well, by the way, where you just get the whiteboard out, start to share it, because both you and the client can add stuff to it, particularly on Zoom. Very useful. And what you do here is you have what's called the past, present, and the future. Past, present, and the future. And you have a conversation with the client about 4 specific areas of their life. So you draw along here 4 specific areas of their life. So let's just sort of draw that up there for you. Now, it's up to you which ones you use. I tend to go for home. So you can have a discussion about their home. You're going to have a discussion about their career or their job or whatever. Pastimes, hobbies, interests. And of course, the big one, family. And you ask questions around these topics. It's as simple as that. So just take my situation, for example. If a financial advisor was asking me questions around my house, and they might say to me, well, what sort of property have you had in the past? So they'd be thinking around this section here. In the past, I've owned a number of houses. I've bought about 7 or 8 properties all told. And I bought and sold, bought and lived in the countryside with my family, my children when they were growing up. And presently now I own a property in Cheltenham with my fiancée Shelley, and we bought the house together. And we're very comfortable here in Tivoli in Cheltenham. It's terrace property, and we're very comfortable. And you might ask me a question about what I'm doing in the future. Well, in the future, we're probably going to stay in the property in Cheltenham because it's easily rentable. It's quite close to GCHQ and the new cyber park. So if we do decide to move around the country or the world, then we can rent this property out very quickly and easily. It's got 3 bedrooms plus the basement, studio and all sorts of things going on for it. So where might you live in the future? Well, that all depends. We're looking to purchase some properties down in Cornwall, but they're more of an investment. They're more for your pension. They're more for the future. So some buy-to-lets, some holiday lets in Cornwall. But we might live down there at some point. Maybe buy property down there or rent a property down there, rent this one. So you're asking questions about the customer's future. Then you might ask about your career. So how did you get to where you are, Mr. Archer? Well, I've set up my own business in 2000 and I've been self-employed for 20 years running my own business, enjoying it, etc. They might ask Shelley some questions as well. So it's a joint situation, this Lifeline. You look at the collective. And where are you now? Well, obviously I'm managing director of the company now, Archer Training Limited, and we operate 100% online, and we deliver training and education skills to financial advisors, mostly mortgage advisors, people with professional services, if you like, people that use their nonce, their brain, and they give information to clients and the clients pay for it. That's pretty much what we help people to do. What about the future? Well, the future, nobody really knows, but we're definitely going to remain online. I'm going to do a lot more writing moving forward, a lot more videos, a lot more three-dimensional stuff, the virtual reality type training as well, using the internet. And I'll probably be able to work on to about sort of 75 plus is the plan. You see what's happening here? You're just getting a picture for the client's details. If they're a young couple and they want to start a family, or start to see how the family is going to evolve. The hobbies is an interesting one. What do you like to do in your spare time? What do you get up to? Well, we do a lot of walking, particularly in the Southwest Coast Path. Enjoy that very much. We like to go out to restaurants and bars when they're open, so you can find out a bit more about the future. Now, once you've got a picture of their situation, you can then decide what is the ideal for them. What ideal cover do they need? Do they need some life assurance, for example, because they've got some young children? We've got a mortgage till age 70, so I need some life assurance to cover that. And we certainly like to do a lot of walking, so you want to make sure you're fit and healthy. Maybe some private medical insurance to make sure you're fixed quickly. If you're self-employed, of course, you don't have any benefits in kind, so you're looking at health insurance. So you're getting a picture of the ideal by looking at the present and the future, but you're doing it through a conversation. And at this point, you can start to talk more about the gaps if you wish to. So where's the gaps now? Now you know the customer's life, where are the gaps? And you can start to disturb the gaps. So, Mr. Brown, I'm noticing that you've got a young family there with no life assurance. What would happen if you were to die? What would be the impact on your family? How would it affect you? How would it affect your hobbies? Because you can relate to what you've actually brought out from them as well. Very useful in the later life market, in fact essential. The FCA are on this like a rash at the moment. They're worried about the longevity of the advice. A lot of mortgage brokers are so keen on the 2-3 year fixed rate sort of turnover churning kind of thing that they regard the equity release market in the same way, but it's very different. Equity release is very long term. So you've got to make sure the advice you give is pucker for the future on the later life market. And unless you ask them questions about the future, even if the person is age 70, people have got long life expectancies now. Find out about what their plans are, what they want to do in the future, where they want to move to, where their family is, what their grandchildren are doing. And then you can get a rough idea of roughly where you think the client is going to go. So, for example, if they are definitely going to move away in 4 or 5 years' time to a property down by the coast or something, they've indicated they're going to do that, then you don't want to be looking at a long-term equity release product, because you won't. You want to look at something that gives more flexibility, maybe a Rio or something like that. But you see what I mean? You're finding out about the customer's life in a soft kind of way. And that's the beauty of Lifeline. And that's why it's very, very powerful. It doesn't have to be long. Doesn't have to take a long time. One client I'm working with in coaching, he uses Zoom to talk to his clients. He uses the shared whiteboard. He already has one of these things set up on the whiteboard, and he writes things in there as the client gives answers. The client writes stuff in as well. So it's very interactive, really works well online, oddly enough, and to get a good picture of the customer. And remember, once you've got the gap and the client sees it, remember coaching is about pulling. you're pulling the client to realise where the gaps are, what the ideal is, what they need, and then of course it's down to you to do the closing, the action, see about affordability and stuff like that. But very useful method to use as a mortgage advisor, financial advisor. I'd definitely be using this if I was you. Great, hope that's been useful.